So next in topic 4, we're going to talk about product strategy. So we're trying to develop the product. So we got to design it in development, but we need a strategy, right? So assume we have a product. It's been produced. Now we're releasing it to the market. What is going to be the product life cycle? Well, here's a quick image of the product life cycle. Over the life of the product across the bottom of this chart, in sales on the left-hand side going up and down, the introduction. So this is where the product just starts to get into the market. Not a lot of people know about it. It might be a brand new product that no one has ever had before. It might be brand new, never been done before. You might have some slow sales, but they're starting to steadily increase. Then you're going to move into the growth phase. And in the growth phase, that's when your sales really take off. Friends are telling their friends, and they're telling their family, and they're telling their neighbors, and they're telling strangers about your product. So your sales will just explode, hopefully. But after a while, and it varies for each product, you're going to hit a maturity stage. Your sales will continue to grow, but it's going to slow down. So your market is getting saturated. That product is getting saturated out there. So what can you do with that? Well, there's several things. You can do what's called a product extension. For example, let's take a Apple iPhone. Well, what does Apple do when they've saturated the market? They release a new iPhone, right? So it seems almost every year, at about the same time of year, they announce a new product. So they realize that they've already hit the introduction and the growth, and they've hit the maturity stage of the previous edition of the phone. So they do a product extension, and they essentially go through the growth stage again in sales. And then once it hits maturity, hopefully they've designed a new iPhone by that time. They're into the double digits with their iPhone numbers, so it seems to be working so far. But if there's no product extension, you can think of a product extension as either a updated version or maybe some other options, like maybe they're, instead of coming in only one color, now it comes in multiple colors. Maybe there's some extra features that come with it. That could extend the life of the product, the life cycle. But let's say none of that happens. Well, we're going to start hitting the decline. So with the decline, we have customers that are still buying it. They might be replacing a previous product that they had because, well, their old one broke, so they want to keep the same product, so they buy it again. Or they're just loyal to the brand or that particular model, so they might keep buying it. But you're going to lose people because, oh, there might be some other new hot product out there that they want to get their hands on. So this is at the maturity stage is when you want to start thinking about what you want to do with that product. Is it something you can keep going? Or is it something that you just want to kind of let fade into the distance? So just to kind of summarize this product life cycle here. Our introduction is we find that need and we fill it. You design a product, or your company designs a product, and it's filled because you're, as a supply chain, you're manufacturing it, you're getting it to where it needs to go, getting it to the customer, and it's in their hands. The growth, things need to ramp up. And in supply chain, we're the ones that do that. We need to make sure that manufacturing speeds up. We need to make sure the raw materials are there. We need to make sure the logistics is there to support that. That's on us as supply chain. But then once we get to maturity, this is where we're really fine-tuning our supply chain for this product. We're going to hit some bumps in the road. We're going to accidentally, possibly, miss some deadlines with orders. We're going to not get enough of one item for the manufacturing process, so manufacturing might slow down. All this kind of stuff will happen. But we're going to try to lower costs when we're doing that. And we'll streamline it so we know exactly, okay, we need to send in a pallet of this product, we know it's going to cost X number of dollars. But then we get into that decline phase. We need to plan for spares, warranty replacements, or repair, just flat out repair. People that want their product or what they've received fixed, but they don't want to buy a new one, so they might pay for a repair. So what about the spare parts? What about transitioning our manufacturing line into a new product? That means that we need to possibly transition into purchasing new materials. So, this is the product life cycle, but we didn't talk about that product extension. So we're trying to keep a product alive with that extension. So on the screen right now, there's lots of different boxes of cereal. All of them are Cheerios. Now, the standard Cheerios, if you've seen a commercial, is usually either the plain or the Honey Nut Cheerios. But they have plenty of other ones. There's Frosted, Multigrain, Medley Crunch, Chocolate Cheerios, Apple Cinnamon Cheerios, Protein Cheerios. There's all different types of Cheerios out there for cereal. But this is how General Mills is keeping Cheerios alive. So, what about how do we look at the growth of our portfolio here? So when we have a product, well, the Boston Consulting Group came up with this growth share portfolio. When you come out with a hot new product, it's going to end up in the question mark on our market growth and market share 2x2 square here. So market share is on the bottom, market growth is on the left. So in the upper left is a question mark. So our market growth is high, we're really selling the product, but our share is low because we're competing against other products. But next we'll kind of move over into the star. So we're going to move right. So our market share is increasing and our sales are still pretty high. But then after a little bit, our growth is going to stop or decrease because we're saturating the market. And then we're going to start going down. But we still have a huge market share. So this is where the cash cow. And then once that cash cow dries up, we're going to start moving to the left where we have an image of a dog, where sooner or later we're going to have to take the dog out to the farm. And the dog is no longer going to be with us because we're probably going to move on to a different product. So most companies, when they develop a product, will go through this, but most products will fail. So let's look at some famous product failures. Well, here's a list of 10. So number 10, Rocky Mountain Spring Water, made by Coors. That one is, I've never even heard of that one. Apple Newton, number 9, Frito-Lay Lemonade. I have to admit, I've tried that. Number 7, Bic Underwear. Never did that one personally. Number 6, Harley Davidson Perfume. I think that one would be so narrow to a certain group of people that might be why. Then we have number 5, Maxwell House Ready to Drink Coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I can understand why people might want to buy essentially maybe a can of coffee or a bottle of coffee that's ready to drink. Seems to be kind of popular now, but look at the brands when you're looking at coffee drinks. Most people are probably drinking Starbucks, right? Number 4, McDonald's Arch Deluxe. I've never had one of these, but I'm assuming it's a hamburger. Probably something a little bit better than a cheeseburger, but not as big as a Big Mac, is my opinion on that, or guess. Number 3, Sony Betamax. I've seen Betamax in movies, and I've never played with one myself. So I don't know anything about that. Number 2, Ford Edsel. I've heard of this car, although I've never seen one. So this one is another one. And then number 1, New Coke. I believe The Simpsons, I think South Park, I think a lot of parodies were made about New Coke. If you're not familiar, Coke came out with a new flavor. They modified the recipe and it flopped. It went badly for Coke. So badly that they decided to stop and then move back to their original formula. So while we're doing all this, we need to have a strategy for how we're going to get from point A to point B on our products. So knowing how our product life cycle is going to go. At what point are we going to make that decision to extend the product or let it decline? What are we going to do if it's a product failure? At what point are we going to make that decision? All these things you need to be aware of. And in the supply chain, we have influence on it, but not necessarily the final decision maker. And your careers, you'll be involved in product development and design. But at what point are you going to just rip the Band-Aid off and say, this is a failure? Hopefully, you're able to do that. So next we're going to talk about the big picture, the cycle of satisfaction. So we're going to look at customer satisfaction. How do we get there? So looking forward to that. We'll see you in the next video.